Hello, everyone. Hope y'all are having a great day. Welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast. This is a show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth and the lies told. And today I am joined by Dr. Joseph. He is going to be joining us today and telling us a little bit about his story and a little bit about his journey. So, Joseph, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a good conversation here, Noah.
So, if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so what about me? Let me see. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. I have a 29-year-old son that I adore. I live now in the mountains of South Carolina the way I always wanted to. And after a 29-year career in corporate America up to a vice president of sales, today I get to help people live better lives. And I guess I'm sure we'll get into the details of that as we go.
So, what does IFGT stand for in IFGT Life Coaching?
Yeah, so I mean it's IFGT Coaching Consulting is actually the name, but IFGT stands for It's Frickin' Go Time. And we go through life so often taking little baby steps and things like that. And I'm all about let's start taking huge strides. Let's start shifting things. We'll talk about how we do that and opening up the door to greater opportunities, but then stepping into them, and not letting them pass us by.
What is the SMT method and how does it assist individuals to achieve greater results with less effort?
Yeah, great question. So the SMT method stands for subconscious mindset training. So we know so much more now about the neuroplasticity of the brain and the conscious, subconscious, how they interact, how they're interdependent, but also, interdependent as well, where they work individually, but they work as a unit as well. And we also know that 85% of the results we experience, Noah, I'm sorry, Noah, are so sorry about that. But
You're
85% of the
good.
results we experience are based on that subconscious programming. So somebody who grows up learning that they have to stifle their voice, that struggle finances, things like that, they will continue through their lifetime until they shift that programming at the subconscious level. And that's what the SMT is geared to do and to do rapidly.
What is the greatest challenge you have faced in helping people?
Oh, yeah, that when I started doing this, and even now, I want to help everybody. I do. I just want to help everybody. And it took me a while to learn. People that don't have an open mind, people that know everything about everything and they're not open to learning new, I can't do anything for them. And that really bothers me because I can't do anything for them unless I can help them tap into that beginner mindset. And what I refer to as a beginner mindset is if we're over 18 years old, we know a lot. But a beginner mindset will say, what can I take from here and add to what I already know? That's a beginner mindset. Somebody in that mode, been able to help hundreds of people achieve phenomenal results into all different areas of their life by going about it with that beginner mindset.
What avenues do you use to coach?
What avenue? So I do one-on-one coaching, the entire SMT method. It's broken into multiple programs, so I can work with the individual from where they're at, not where the program is. And then we have an online portal for that for access and everything. And it's really through one-on-one. I don't do much group coaching. When I started out doing coaching, I learned that I had group members and then one-on-one members, and I learned there was a big difference between what the one-on-one clients achieved versus the group only clients. So I don't do that, but I do a lot of webinars, a lot of speaking. I have two books and another one coming out in a couple of weeks here. So however I can impact people, I'm an ordained minister, so I deliver a lot of Sunday services at different churches.
It also says in your introduction that you've been featured on Fox, you've been on NBC and CBS, USA News, alongside you've also been named one of the top business coaches in America for 5 consecutive years from the NYC Journal. And how does it feel to be able to go onto these platforms and be able to share your message? How does it feel?
It's a blessing is how it feels to me. It's truly a blessing for me. Where I really get excited is when I'm working with a client and we hit that breakthrough moment where they break through and all of a sudden realize how it's their internal patterns as are causing them limited. That just puts me up like I hang glide. That makes me feel like I'm soaring on a hang glider when I do that. As far as the other things, I'm grateful for those things. I'm blessed for those things, but those things don't define me.
What qualities make an ideal client?
Anybody who's struggling with something, but they're tired of struggling, Noah. There's people who struggle and it's just part of their daily grind. It's life to them. but somebody who's struggling and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, somebody who doesn't want to stay in that place, and somebody who the ideal client is somebody who says, I don't know why this is happening, because that's somebody that with an open mind to figure it out. And I just like to elaborate, if I could, just for a second on there. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I run into a lot of people who blame outside conditioning, their programming, their family, their relationship, their, the state of the economy, whatever it is, they blame outside. And we can never do anything if that's really the problem. So what I look for is people who can say, man, I don't know what's causing this, Joey. And that's somebody I can help.
Is it really possible to be able to build a successful business and career as well as maintain healthy life balance?
I didn't. I used to think for decades in my life, 3 decades, I thought no, but I've achieved it. Over 700 clients that I've worked with have achieved that. I've helped organizations go from $7.5 million a year revenue to $22 million a year revenue in 12 months. And in that year was the only first year of their adult life that they took 5 weeks of vacation during that growth. So yeah, it's absolutely possible. What will shut that down is somebody who believes there's no way it's possible, because they'll never achieve that.
What made you decide to spend your life coaching and helping people live better lives?
No, I started out with very humble beginnings up in Detroit, Michigan, struggling family. I watched everything my mom and dad went through, and I thought, I'm not going to live that way. And when I got 22 years old, I had multiple instances occur simultaneously. One of them was for a gentleman wanted me to take over his business, not even pay him for it. We would pay 5 or 7 years into it. It was set, rocking and rolling, everything was happening, and he wanted me to take it. And I was so excited that would have set me up for life. But over a 3 day period, I ended up saying I can't do that. And what drove that decision was my programming that said I didn't deserve it because I didn't work hard enough for it. And that started this pathway that has been 4 decades now of continuously being a student and learning and growing. And then as it started working for me, of course, I was excited to share it with other people
How do you manage fears in life?
and go through them. We can right size fear seems like it's just insurmountable, but as we learn tools to start right sizing that fear, that fear can seem so tall we can't get above it, so wide we can't get around it, but so often we realize it's paper thin when we go through it. And I'll give you an example of that. My first launch off of a 2,000-foot mountaintop strapped to a hang glider, you have 3 steps and you're in the air. And I picked it up and I got the clearance, and I could feel my heart beating. And you take the first step and it got stronger and stronger. The second one, it was up in my throat. By the third step and final step, everything inside of me was saying, stop. But the moment my feet left the ground, it was the most incredible experience that I've achieved as far as soaring in my life.
Was this something that you always wanted to do, or was there another field that you wanted to go into?
Well, I did. I had a 28-year career in corporate America in sales, from the ground floor up to a vice president of sales, leading sales teams, helping sales teams elevate their revenue growth and what they were doing and such. And I think I've always had inside of me the desire to teach, to help other people, I guess. And but that was an avenue where it started to really come out and spark. And then I realized I don't like wearing all the hats that a vice president of sales wears, but I love working with my sales team and helping them elevate. And so I resigned from corporate America, and I've been doing this for a little over a decade now.
What advice do you have for people that want to go down this path? And especially nowadays, it's really hard. I think the world we live in now is different than what it was 10 years ago. So, what advice do you have for people that want to do this in today's
Yeah,
society?
one of the things I would say, Noah, and this you're right with what you're saying. It's got even more crowded. There's so many different coaching and assistant programs and everything else out there. I spent a lot of time, effort, and resources in going through coaching programs that they had the model, and I had to contort myself to fit into the model of what they were teaching, and I never walked away with results. So when in developing the SMT method, it's unique in the fact that it's set up as a pathway, as a journey, but a unique experience to each individual going through it, unique to their desires, unique to their programming and patterning, unique to them. Even as we're developing systems of accelerating habits, they're unique to that individual, because what works for me isn't going to work for you. And what works for you isn't going to work for the next guy. So it's really, I would tell anybody looking at this, look for an avenue where the program will contort to fit you, not you the program, and that will make all the difference in the world.
You know, I'm not expert in any of this, but I've just seen from like an outside perspective that it's hard to be able to be this successful now in this day and age.
You think
It's,
so?
well, just from my standpoint, I, because I'm from Alabama and I'm from a very small town, and I see that
Mhm.
people have difficulty trying to get their business going, and I don't quite really, which some people understand that, I just lost my train of thought. I don't know
That's
where I
okay.
was
Let,
going
let me
with
pick
that.
up where I saw you at and see if it comes back. Noah, is do you know of anybody from the small area in Alabama where you're from that has succeeded? And because I'll tell you one of the things, living in out in Detroit and outside of Detroit my whole life, it was hard for me to ever think I'd really achieve anything of purpose because the whole area was based on blue collar. It's based on the auto, and as the auto industry dropped down, all the jobs went away. You know what I mean? So it was a pretty depressed area for a long time. So it was hard to feel that positiveness in that area, but I will tell you, I resigned from corporate America. I moved to the mountains of South Carolina, and I have built this business in a very, very small town and with people surrounding me who don't do this types of work. But as I started reaching out, as I got that vision, and every person I work with, we start by developing a dynamic vision of what they want to achieve, what that looks like. And then we just start using that as what's realistic. And it didn't matter where I lived, how much money was in my account, what I had going on, or anything. Same thing with all my clients. That doesn't matter when we start sparking at a higher frequency than where we're living in our day to day life. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's just for me, I've had just for me, I've had trouble in the job field. Very
Okay.
much have had trouble. I have applied to multiple places and it's been like a no. It's automatic no. And luckily I kind of just worked for myself, which that's been
Okay.
really very positive for me because I do DoorDash right now, and DoorDash
Okay.
has me have my own schedule, and then
Yep.
the podcast I've done. I think for me the biggest success has been this podcast. To be honest, it's been, and my friends have even been surprised by it. His friend, he told me the other day, he was like, I expected your podcast to go well, but I never thought that it would actually succeed to this kind of level.
Mm.
And I said, I didn't either because I thought, oh, it's going to take years and years to build up. And I mean, I've still got a lot of room to grow. And it's not like I have 20,000 listeners out there. It's just like a
Right.
small group of people that listen, but it's more than I thought.
So let me ask you this. You seem to like podcasting,
Hmm.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
And it's going better than you. I think your words were better than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
Okay. What do you want to do? I mean, this is your podcast, so let's have this conversation if you're open to it, Noah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do in your life? Like what really stands out for you and things you want to achieve? How do you want like what do you want to achieve in your life works?
So my dream job is wanting to be a talk show host. I went to
Okay.
Auburn. I graduated from Auburn with a bachelor's in journalism,
Okay.
and which I was very shy when I first started. I've had like doubts of, well, did I go in the right major? But I've also had a thing for I like to interview people. That's been
Okay.
one of the
Yeah.
most fun aspects of journalism, is what I've really enjoyed a lot
Okay. Try to
doing.
try to stick with me here a little bit. Okay. So you want to be a talk show host.
Hmm.
Is this a talk show host on the radio? Is it on the TV? Is it both? Describe a little bit for me what that looks like.
It's on TV. I'd like to be on TV.
Okay.
I kind of have similar to how Jimmy Fallon and Ellen was.
Oh,
That's kind of where my
okay. Do you want it to be in the
influences is.
evening or in the prime time, or when do you want to?
I'm I'm fine with either. Prime
Okay.
time I'm okay with, but nighttime I'd have more ideas.
So which one sparks better for you? Which one feels better for you?
Probably evening because I have more
Okay.
ideas.
Okay. So like a nighttime show, like Jimmy Fallon,
Yes.
one of those guys. Okay. Okay. So now you're doing this. I want you to picture this. Okay. I want you to picture that you have this talk show. You're inviting. What kind of guests are you inviting on here? What kind of guests? do you show up?
Actors, actresses, singers,
Okay.
probably like celeb figures.
I was
It's,
really hoping you'd say me personally, but that's cool. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, okay. So now you have this talk show, and I want you to just think about this. You have this talk show, right? And you're inviting singers. Who's your favorites? Who's the one person you love to interview on the show?
uh, Ariana Grande.
Okay, okay. Now picture you're sitting there. You got the chairs. I don't know if you got the desk. What? Tell me, did you have a desk? Do you used to be at a desk like Conan does, or how is it? Tell me, describe the studio a little bit for me. What it looks like.
I wanted to have the same daytime structure, so I don't want to have the desk. I want more of a chair.
Yeah. So you're kind of
I want,
sitting, kind of maybe facing towards, angled towards each other or something like that. You're facing head
yes.
on. Like, look at it and tell me, describe it in detail what it looks like.
So it would be kind of how like a modern daytime is, where you have a chair on each side, a couch if there's more than one guest, and there's going to be a table in the center. So I kind of want to break the stereotype because it's a stereotype for males that have talk
Okay, well, don't go.
shows.
Try. I'm sorry. Try to hold off that. I just want you to describe what it is you do want it to look like. Stay there with me for a minute.
So to have the chairs on each side table, I don't quite know if I want to have a DJ. I don't want a band
Okay.
because I want
Okay.
to be different.
Okay.
So no band. I might have a DJ.
Hmm.
That's still kind
Okay.
of questionable.
Okay.
Trying to
Maybe some
think.
kind of breakup music for during the commercial breaks, things like that and stuff. Get
Yeah,
everybody. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want you to picture this now. Okay.
Okay.
I need a picture you walking into the studio. That's your studio. Your show is developed from that studio. What do you do while you're waiting for it to start? Do you move around and move energy? Do you just sit quietly? Like what do you do there? Describe that for me. You're in the studio waiting. Instead, let's say a half hour before the show starts.
I probably would have to move around.
Okay. I
If it
like that
was
too.
if it was my first show, I probably would move around because of nerves,
Okay.
but I think after a
Okay.
while I probably could sit there, but definitely at first probably move around.
Okay. Okay. So now you sit down, right? Now they're giving you
Mhm.
the number 3, 2, 1. Cameras on. Do you start with, you welcome everybody, right? And you don't
Yes.
have to say what it is, but picture that. And now do you go into like a kind of a dialogue, like a joking thing or news thing or something like how would you want to start the show?
A common monologue,
Okay. Okay.
standing up and doing like a
Okay.
monologue thing, and then I would, let's see, no one's ever asked me this, so this is like dream
I know
come
it.
true.
I know. And I don't expect you. Yeah.
And so let's see, I do the monologue, and then, oh, I've really got to think. Probably do
Okay.
more of I don't want, because nighttime fits more of the politics, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I want to stay
So
away from that. So I
yeah,
want to do
okay.
more of kind of like comedy, a little bit, jokes,
Okay, yep.
maybe.
I always like comedy. You like making people laugh?
I try.
We all like
I
okay.
try.
So now you go through that, right? Now it
Hmm.
breaks to commercial. You've started, you've done the dialogue, you've done the jokes, whatever it is you do, and now it's gone to commercial. How do you feel right now after it goes to commercial?
I probably would think, okay, is it going well? People seem to be liking it. So
What if you had an audience there who's like clear chap, clapping and cheering and laughing and things like that? Would you feel like, man, this is awesome? Okay, now
I
it comes back
probably,
to you, right?
hmm
They go 3, 2, 1, and it comes back to you, and you say, and I want you to say this for our first guest, and it's going to be Ariana. Introduce her.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Get
I
that
would,
excitement going. Introduce her through
okay.
that.
So our first guest today, she is a pop icon. She is the most successful female artist of this generation. She has won Grammys and has recently been nominated for an Oscar for her role in Wicked. Please welcome Ariana Grande. And so then she'd
Hold
walk
on.
out,
What do you do after you say that? Do you stand up to greet her? Do
stand
you,
up.
yeah,
Okay,
you
stand
want
up.
to
I'll
run
stand
over there
up.
about 300 miles an hour, don't you?
Well, in this moment, if I wasn't
Picture you being in
trying to
that
be
moment.
professional,
I know, but okay. So she walks on, she comes over, you give her a hug, whatever you do.
hmm
Right now she sits down, kind of lean to help, I mean, like guide her to sit down. Now you sit down, close your eyes for a second.
Okay.
What's that feel like right there when she sits down, you sit down, and you realize you're doing this talk show host in the evening like you want to do it, the way you want to do it, and you just introduced Ariana so that you get to interview and have a one-on-one conversation with her. Tell me how you feel right now, Noah.
I feel like I uh great. It feels great. It honestly feels to me, I think I would feel accomplished there. Just
Okay.
being able to finally do have a guest on there and just
Okay.
have everything.
Now how do you feel right now after talking about this?
Well, no one's ever asked me about
I
that. Like
know,
literally
I
no
know,
one, even
I know.
teachers never did this.
Yes.
So it was actually felt nice that I was actually able to finally tell what I want my show to be like.
So right now, we barely just scratched the surface there with what we did. When I talk about the SMT method has a dynamic vision. It is so much clarity, feeling, tone, like we're actually walking in that. You're living that life of that studio. Okay, so now we do that. Now, if you notice, some of your subconscious programming stepped up there because you wanted to go from what you wanted, and you multiple times you wanted to go and start talking about what you don't want. So what happens is you start building this up, and all of a sudden, without even realizing it, we start knocking it back down with what we don't want. Who cares what you know what I mean? Like ultimately, to get to where we want to get to, we got to put that stuff aside. It no longer matters and focus on there. So now I've just been able to walk you into that, right? So now let me ask you this: is there any more belief in a man from a small town in Alabama being able to live this talk show host that you want to do?
It's it's
You see,
possible.
more
It's
do you see
possible.
any more possibility than you did when we first started talking?
Yeah, I see
And what
more.
happens in there? Now you said yes. If I just be quiet for a minute, things are going to start popping. That voice in our head, you'll start hearing that voice tell you why it's not possible. That's the subconscious programming playing out because it's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you at a point where you don't expect too much out of life because then you're not disappointed. That's what it's trying to do for you. So it's trying to help you, but it's actually serving. It's actually taking possibility away from you into what you truly desire. Does that make sense?
It does.
So now there's a whole process that we go through, and we start, and the whole thing is geared towards when you start doing that. And I said, hold on, stick with me, stick with me. Remember me saying that? Because
Hmm.
you start talking about what you don't want, which is that other side, which is the programming. Because that's what happens to us in everyday life when we're not even aware it's happening, Noah. We go, I'd love that, man. That would be so cool to interview Ariana, and all of a sudden the other side steps up, and before you even know so many people's desires, dreams, and the things they really want to achieve in life never even get past the thought process. They fail before there's ever a single action taken into it. What I do. Now that's unique to you. I can't imagine I'd ever talk to somebody else who says I want an evening talk show and describing everything you just described with it. That's unique. That's yours. That's your own personal desires of your heart right there. And I know that God stamps on our heart those he stamps those desires of our heart on us so that we can achieve those things as part of our life because there's benefits in it for everybody involved with it, for the listeners, for the guests, for you, all the way around the clock. But what happens is we start getting stifled by that subconscious. Now, when I kept you on track, all of a sudden we're starting to kind of push down that subconscious programming. And what the SMT method does once we identify it is then we have tools to shift that. So it's just not there anymore. We don't hear the voice the same way in our head that we go through our whole life hearing it. So you just had a good example. I thank you for doing this with me because it was great analogy of exactly what I do. A very small, like I said, we barely scratched the surface, but it gives you an indication of it. Now, when we take that and we start looking at, okay, so let's go forward now, tapping into intuition, tapping into opportunities that are, you know, available to us, and they're always endless. What can we do? What action feels exciting for you to do towards that? All of a sudden, something pops up. I could do this. I could start with a radio station. I could do, whatever it is starts popping, and all of a sudden we start stepping into those things, and all of a sudden, within a short period of time, we notice we're well headed in that direction. That's exactly what I do right there. And again, if you notice, what I did was took the tools that I use within the SMT and I I shifted those to fit you and your desires. I didn't tell you, well, you have to have your show in the morning. You have to have the. I didn't have ask you to contort you to fit into what I do. It fits you. That's such a great example. Thank you for allowing me to demonstrate that with you. And I'd love to talk to you more about bringing that to fruition.
Well, thank you so much for doing that because, I was sitting here thinking, I think one reason why I was so always, I think why I'm more negative about it is because people have always put in my mind, oh, because when I tell them what I want to do,
Yeah.
they're always like, oh, and I can't really ever decipher if it's like a oh negative wise or an oh that's like oh.
You try to figure it out, don't you? And what
I
I'll tell
try
you
to.
ultimately, it doesn't even matter, Noah, because those people you're telling it to, they don't have any view of that at all, and
Right.
they live their life by their patterns. So they're going, well, there's no freaking way that's going to happen from this guy from little town Alabama. You know what I mean? Like, and that's their perceptions that they place on you. So as we develop the vision, as I start working with the client, what I tell them is be careful who you share this with, because people will add to. They can call me anytime. I'll add to their vision, help them get excited, build it up. That's what I do. Other people who don't understand it, when I left corporate America after 28 years as a vice president of sales, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, a company car, golf course membership, when I resigned and walked away from that to come down here and start this business doing what I'm doing, there were a lot of my friends that I had built up throughout corporate America that quit talking to me because they couldn't even comprehend what went wrong with me, that I wouldn't stay on that track. But I felt so empty. I abused alcohol, and I started gambling very heavy, and I started living my life in a way that just to try and push that that feeling of emptiness down. And when I stepped out, it just opened up this door of this life I get to live today.
Well, I think what you're doing is so amazing. I mean, that what we just did, I've never had anyone
Yeah.
that intrigued and been that have asked me that many questions about what I want to do. So I appreciate you for doing that with me because it
I,
actually
I'm
just
I'm
made me light up.
I'm grateful to you that you allowed me to do that here, because I've never gotten to do that. So this is really an exclusive, Noah. I haven't gotten the opportunity to do that, and I have a special gift that we'll talk about near the end of this for your listeners and such, and for you too, if it's something that would benefit you and stuff. But yeah, this is. And we get to see the model of it. Now you can tell now, when we first started talking, even when I was talking, you could kind of see yourself not slumping, but you were almost like, I don't know. And now you can see yourself like, you know, a little bit of a smile. There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
For people that want to check you out and want to learn more about you, where can they all find you? And do you have anything coming up?
I do. So any social media links, and I'm sure you'll put that in the episode and such. The
Yes.
my social media links and things like that. But I'm really excited about this because I developed the SMT method. It's really developed over a 40-year period, but it's got its name and everything else about a decade ago. And I behind times, but I'm just coming out with the book, Reprogramming Your Subconscious Mind, the SMT Method to Rapid Results. And so that's coming out here. I mean, it'll be out by the time this is aired, it'll be out and available. And I have a very special gift for you, any of your audience and such, because I love helping people know however I can. So what I do is I tell people you can set up a 15-minute call with me and we can talk about these. Maybe I'll take somebody through the exercise we went through, or maybe they have one area where they just have so much of that noise in their head they can't figure it out, that we can start quieting some of that for them. And anybody who sets up this call with me, I'll give a free copy of the book to. And all they got to do is go to coachwithjoey.com and schedule that call with me. It's not a sales pitch. I don't talk about the programs. I don't talk about what it's really to serve. And it's coachwithjoey.com.
Yes, and to all my listeners, as I always do with every guest that I have, I will put all their links and stuff down there in the description box. I'll put his website, I'll put all of his social media platforms, and I'll also put his Coach with Joey website where you can have what he said, a 15-minute conversation with him and have the opportunity to get a free copy of his book that's coming out. Joey, I appreciate you so much for being on today and sharing with me what you do. It's been such an honor to have you on here, and Keep doing what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great, and I hope my listeners kind of take that 15 minutes because what you just heard from me right there lit
Yes.
up. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And Noah, I welcome you to that as well. I'd love to keep this dialogue going and stuff. So if that would help you with that, yeah, schedule it and we'll get down and we'll continue from there and get some more hardline details. Okay, now how do I take that and put it into a vision? So yeah, this is a great conversation. I'm really, really grateful to you for allowing us to do that.
well, I thank you so much for being on the show today, and to all my listeners out there, make sure to check him out, and please, I highly recommend doing the 15-minute conversation with him because it was very beneficial.
Thank you.
Again, thank you to Mr. Joseph for coming on today, for doing the interview and episode with me. I had a blast doing it with him, and I really wanted to appreciate him for doing that little reading that we did. To keep updates on the podcast and to learn when more episodes are being available and when that will be dropping, highly recommend you check me out on Instagram and TikTok at Lethal Venom Podcast, as well on Facebook as Noah's Podcast. I also have 2 other podcasts available wherever you get podcasts from. Music Talks, which is a music podcast where I talk about everything music, as well as a book podcast called Southern Reads, where I basically rant about books and only books and everything book related. Those 2 podcasts, as well as this podcast, are available wherever you get podcasts from: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora, and just basically wherever you get podcasts from, it is there. I wanted to thank y'all so much for listening to this episode, and y'all be safe and careful out there. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next episode of Lethal Venom.